Hi, welcome to the Untitled book review of Terror, the horror comics genius of Joan Boix. I don't know how to say his name, that's in Spanish of course. You've got H.P. Lovecraft. Now I assume that was the actual title, it's not. Terror is the title. And this is from Pulp 2.0. There is a website, a Pulp 2.0, press.com, so that's worth checking out as well. 20 stories in this. It's in black and white all the way through. Very nicely printed on very decent quality paper. Obviously, probably not as big as the originals because these were done from Spanish magazines. Spanish magazines are generally the same size as like Creepy, so it obviously has been shrunk slightly, but it's been, of course, it's in English, which is very convenient because then you can read the story, of course. Thing is, I quite like the old Spanish magazines, and you can often pick up many at comic marts, and you pick them up, and of course you can work the story out. It's not particularly difficult, so even if it's in Spanish, it doesn't matter that much. And here's the stories. Many of them, it says here on the back, it's got Dossier Negro, Terror Grafico, and Panic, the magazines that we're talking about here. And it's all talking about Bard and Art, and Creations, Editores, and romance comics, blah, 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 and Creepy, Rambler, and Metropole, and many other, Toutain, Joseph, I'm not certain again how to say that, but still, lots and lots. And it mentions also about Hammer horror and things. Included in this volume are adaptations of works by Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, Franz Kafka, and Robert Bloch. I'm not certain, that's the way. But still, it does actually mention, even got Victor Hugo, and you can see there. And this one, The Dog, inspired by the story of The Dog by Hudson Fish. I've never heard of Hudson Fish. From the idea of Joan Boix. No idea. But The Case of Lady Sanex by Arthur Conan Doyle. I've just about heard of him. H.P. Lovecraft, The Hound as well. The artwork is superb. The stories are all about 10 pages. There's 20 of them in this, so clearly, obviously, it's not going to add up. So some must be about 6 or 7 pages. Some are 10. The first one is 10, called Penny. And it's a good old standard sort of, like the sort of thing you would get in a Creepy magazine. Creepy comics, eerie comics, very much that style. Beautiful artwork, really first rate. Stories, of course, go absolutely nowhere. You know how they're going to end generally. But still, they are very beautifully drawn, and they all generally always feature a very creepy looking character. Look at me! I don't... Yeah, that's pretty gruesome as well. I'm not going to show that. But it's just beautiful artwork all the way. Just the panel structure, everything about it. Finally free, arrangement. And you've got... I don't want to spoil the story, so I'm not going to show much of the artwork. But you've got just beautiful artwork. This one is Requiem para Figura. Requiem for a figure. There. I wasn't going to say that I understand exactly what that, obviously from Spanish, but that's what it is. Actually, they're probably, let's see. Oh, so you can see most of the titles haven't been translated. So, La Ultima Species. I assume that's species, the last species. And I'm going to say completely wrong. Yes, the last species. Whew. I did speak Spanish at one time. You wouldn't believe it, considering I'm absolutely hopeless now. I'm totally out of practice when it comes to my Spanish. I can just about read it, just about, but it's... but I love picking up Spanish magazines. There was vast amounts of Spanish magazines, featuring quite often, just like Alex Toth. I always remember seeing like Steve Ditko. Loads of artists would turn up in Spanish magazines, and they were always just great. And then normally you could pick them up in these sort of second-hand stores, like next to nothing. Couple of pesetas. It was very, very cheap, and you could pick up brilliant selection and just so much great pages of artwork. Of course, similar to like the French ones, Dutch ones, and German ones, all those sort of magazines. Just great, beautiful artwork. Not so much, obviously, vast amounts of American material, but of course, a lot of the American material came from Spain, certainly with Creepy and those sort of things. And this one again, you've got here Frontiers. So you've got Frontiers there, Frontieras. But it's just insect. Don't ask me what that meant. Oh, the phobia. Okay, I wouldn't have known that. La phobia. I should have guessed from that. That's always the thing. Quite often when you read any Spanish thing or French, whatever, you can generally work out. But look at the artwork. Actually, that's the front cover. You've got the front cover there. Though weirdly, the front cover is slightly pixelated. I would have thought that they would have gone for a slightly better cover. I'm not so. What's the name of that cover? Doesn't really work. I think some of these would have been better on the cover than that. Just doesn't work as well. But that's just me. But still a great little first story there. And you can see the sort of general sort of things, the storylines. And this one, a world... See, actually, weirdly, some have got, obviously in English, already told. A well-made wall can save a life. Now, is that... I'm assuming that's the title. Yes, it is the title. It goes all the way through to 1985. And this one is Edgar Allan Poe. So you've got here the house of Mr. Vladimir. Vladimir? The case of Mr. Case. House. Casa. Not case. Okay. That's my Spanish completely kaput. And so on. There's loads of other ones. Hamil Ali of Seminira. So, whatever. I'm not going to start saying the titles. It's a waste of time. As soon as I start saying titles, as soon as I start reading them, I think, no, I've said it completely wrong. The end. Now, you go to a very gruesome end at the end, which, of course, sort of matches the front there. But it's a lovely little book. I think if you haven't got this collection and you're into horror sort of comics, I think this collection is one you definitely should rush out and check. And it was reasonably priced as well. It wasn't like a super expensive book, just really good. And it's one of those ones that probably at some point will go out of print and you'll be thinking, oh, I wish I bought it at the time. So I definitely recommend this. If you're certainly into European horror comics, this one is definitely a must-have. So there, lots to do, 20 Tales and Terror, the horror comics, and I'm not going to say it, genius of Joan Boix. Okay, I did say it. Probably wrong. Bye.